Hey, hello. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to UB Podcast. I missed you guys last week. I was gone. I was gone. For those of who you don't know me, I am your host, Queen Unique, aka Chantel Evans. I am here. I am happy to be here. I am coming on tonight, y'all, with a very serious topic. Very serious topic. Um, First of all, let's talk about what's going on out there. So, what's going on out there? Elections just passed. I hope you all cast your vote. I hope you all got the leaders in position that you want in position. We are in unprecedented times. We are in a lot of controversy in the news this week, y'all, in the news. So, first of all, before I even go there, let me tell you about what we do. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization located out here in Charlotte, North Carolina. We provide awareness and advocacy for victims of human trafficking, domestic violence, and sexual assault with a particular focus on at risk youth. Um, and we come to you on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to just provide a platform for awareness and for real people with real stories. I am one of those real people. I'm sure if you're watching, you're one of those real people as well. Um, so, yeah, back to the news, y'all. Kyrie Irving, y'all know I got to talk about it because everybody else talking about it. I try to stay away from the daily news. I try to live in my own little bubble, but some things we just can't help that we are a part of. And one thing we do talk about in our nonprofit a lot, we provide, like I said, awareness for human trafficking and domestic violence. So, human trafficking, what is human trafficking? Modern day slavery, y'all. So, mean to be bonded in captivity, locked away, forced fraud and coercion. We gonna unpack that in podcasts to come about what that is. We have a lot of stories going on. We have a lot of people that's going through a lot of things. If you're on this earth, you're going through something, and we all are still experiencing this how to live again after this pandemic, all this stuff going on, all these changes. I just said the other day, like, gosh, I don't know how to live. Like trying to be this two people, a virtual self, a physical self, a spiritual self, this new living is crazy and it's pressure for us all. And speaking of pressure, we have, like I was saying in the news, Kyrie Irving and Kanye. I won't say too much on it, but I will say that I have been studying the subject that they are talking about, which is knowing thyself, knowing who we are and what we are, and learning to use these voices, which is why we have this podcast, so we can provide a space for, again, real stories of real people. Too many times we see edited versions of what's going on and what's happening. Um, and that's why we're here pretty much. So we gonna talk tonight to a guest, y'all. I'm not gonna take up a lot of time. I just wanted to say that I do support our brothers. I stand with them, and I hope that you all are too. And that's really standing in truth and power. But while we're here tonight to talk to a guest that is surviving the loss of her 1 year old daughter. A lot of times I come on here and I'm laughing and I'm having fun and I'm joking. Tonight is a difficult subject. It's a subject that I try to stay away from. It's a subject that actually brought me to Charlotte, North Carolina. And it's the subject of firearms and grieving the loss after incidents involving guns. And I did a little bit of research before we came on tonight. So, little research that I did, and I sit on a coalition here where we talk about violence prevention and what we can do. And so, gun violence is a topic, and losing our children to gun violence, losing our loved ones to gun violence. And so, some of the stats was 41,000 Americans lose their life every year from gun violence. I'm going to say that number again. 41,000 Americans lose their life to gun violence every year. And that's an estimate of 110 people per day that we are losing as it relates to gun incidents, gun crimes, fatalities, homicides, suicide. Gun violence hit my family a lot. I lost a lot of friends. I have some friends that still living with the remnants of gun violence, and it's serious and it's plaguing our communities like no other. And most of all, it's taking the lives of our young ones. Um, our guest tonight, she have a 1 year old and she's going to tell her own story. But I just wanted to give some stats about it. So in the first 6 months in Charlotte, North Carolina, it was 578 incidents involving gun violence, and they were all under 18 years old. 130 of those cases, they were the people who pulled the trigger, and they were all under 18 years old. So my question is, what can we do? Can we end gun violence? Can we not end gun violence? Is it something that is just our fate? Why are we experiencing it so much and what's going on? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight, y'all. And like I said, it's a serious, sensitive subject. So if it's triggering, please remove yourselves. This might not be the podcast for you. I know that it's a difficult conversation. I know that sometimes we hear things that we just can't stand. So we are here just for education and awareness only. We are not giving any legal advice, any medical advice. Just like I said, real people with real stories bringing awareness. So again, if this conversation is going to trigger you, please remove yourselves from this sensitive topic. For those that can stand it, please share your comments, please engage, and please respect the guests. And we're going to jump right in it as soon as I figure out how to bring it on. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see. Hey there.
Hello.
Hey, I can hear you. Welcome. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened, y'all. Soon as I got excited, something happened. But anyway, she's gonna come back. Everybody know about these technical difficulties. So we're gonna get it in because the spirit says that we have to. All kinds of strange stuff going on here. But let me see if I can bring it back on with us. Let's try this again. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you gonna stay this time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, cool, cool. I can deal with that. I hope I can end up seeing some comments or something tonight. If I can't see comments, we'll go back and we'll do the replay. If you can see comments, great. But this is technology, and every day technology is changing. So, welcome, 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 welcome to the podcast, UB Podcast. That is, I am happy to have you. I am honored to be here doing your story. I know we've seen this on the news, but it seems like Unique Blessings is always connected to the real people with real stories, unedited version. So let's just jump right on in there. Let's just introduce yourself to the audience tonight. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go in. So your name, where you from, um, why you here, how you get here, why is you hooked up with my crazy self? So nah.
Hello,
So
Unique Blessings and Miss Chantel. My name is Shaquay Maskey. I am currently in school for cosmetology. Cannot wait to graduate to take off and start something new with me and my other three children that I still have with me physically on earth as a blessing from God. It is very blissful and honors to be in contact with Unique's blessings as well as someone as powerful as Miss Chantel Evans. She has walked a good journey with me and my children and my family, and that's a blessing itself. Along with God and the spiritual, learning me myself spiritually. Um, I also plan on taking my cosmetology license and furthering it, not only to know how to do hair and nails, but to own multiple salons in different states, possibly different countries. So I have a very big broad variety of where I want to be, and God's gonna bless me with that. Tonight,
Mm-hmm.
tonight we are here along with Unique Blessings to talk about um what I'm dealing with currently, my my tragedy, my trauma, which only isn't mine. There is a lot of people involved. There were a lot of people that connected with my children without having such a strong connection with myself. And for that alone is another blessing. A lot of people feel as if in order to connect with children, you have to be connected with the parents or the guardians of those children, and that's actually not true. A lot of people that I am connected with is through my children. And even sometimes feel as though I smile about it because who would ever think that having children can bring so many people together. Um, all my children are blessings to me from God, of course. Unique blessings, definitely a blessing from God. My support team, besides unique blessings, um, a blessing from God. And everybody has trials and tribulations, but it's up to us how we maneuver and succeed with those trials and tribulations. Me, I feel like my life does not stop here. Um, yes, it's painful, it's hurtful that I lost one of my dearest loved children that I birthed, and it is hard to get through, but it doesn't stop. You don't stop living. Time doesn't stop ticking. When you have other children involved, they don't stop wanting you to love on them. So you still have to pull through just specifically for that. Then you have others that are looking at you. You may not know it physically but or mentally, but you have others that look at you and use that person that's going through that tragedy as a reason to keep pushing forward. So being the person that's going through the tragedy, you always not live up to anybody else's means or anybody else's standards, but you always want to live up to your own because your own standard is what helps somebody else keep pushing forward for the next day to live on. Um, Even with a lot of people don't think it's important to have a relationship with God, and it is. It's very important. And our grandparents and parents start the relationship with God for us. But as we grow older, it's up to us to make that bondage stronger with God. And no, you don't have to go to a building, which is not our temple, to get the praise and get the word. Make your bond stronger and allow Him to know that you acknowledge Him. You don't need that. So, no, I'm not a church member. I used to be. I have been baptized, but those things is not what make your relationship stronger. Those things is not what make you keep pushing forward because even sometimes church members can be a little criticism toward somebody who's going through something. They don't even know it. It may not even be intentional. So sometimes you have to communicate with God sometimes on your own well being. If it mean being in the shower and you just talking to him, if it mean walking to the store and you're just talking to him, if it mean blessing your dinner and then you start talking to him and it's just you in that space, that's what it means. If it mean going in the closet, screaming to the top of your lungs and then feeling some type of relief afterwards, sometimes that's what it takes. Unfortunately, I have not lost my mental state. I do not consider
That's
myself
a fortunate. Fortunately, you haven't
yeah,
lost it. That's a
and
fortunate
I
circumstance.
do not consider myself unstable. Reason being because there's still life in my body. I'm still blessed to have three other kids. I still have other people that's supporting me and looking forward to me graduating as themselves as their support to me. So it's so much more to just keep going forward with. losing my daughter is not the end of me and my children's story. There will be better. There will be greater. And as long as I stay focused on it, and I know and trust and believe that deep down inside my heart, it's gonna happen. It's gonna succeed. It may not happen when I want it to happen, but it's going to happen.
That's facts. Let's talk about your daughter. Let's talk a little bit about her life. Let's talk about um this precious little girl that I had the honor of being with her short time here. I met her so young. I remember when I first met you and you was just escaping or, getting away from an unhealthy situation and I met you um doing and you had this little baby and she had all this little hair and she grew up to be like 8 years old, but she only was one.
Right.
So, so let's talk about her. Like, let's talk about her life. How was she? I mean, I want you just to kind of give us a picture of, what number child she was. How was she? When did you have her? How did that all come about? Because I didn't know you before you had your daughter. So,
Right.
what was life like leading up to you being gifted with her? What was that like?
Um, it was real
And you
bumpy.
can start from like getting out of your dangerous situation because I would imagine that you got out of your dangerous situation and then soon somewhere after that you were gifted with your baby girl.
Yes. So, life before Unique Blessings, had any communications with me, knew anything about me, or before I knew anything about Unique Blessings, it was scary. Life was scary before then. I was getting beat up, if not every day, every other day, sometimes 2 to 3 times a day. It got to the point where I got tired of getting beat up. I started fighting back. It was over little simple things, more so of what I'm now learning because I was he needed to bring me down to his level. So he had insecurities about himself. He had low self esteem about himself. And because I
And when
was
you say
so
he, you mean when you say he, you mean the offender, the person that was
the
offending you.
offender, the offender, he
Mhm.
needed to tone me down because I was too loud and vibrant with my personality. So toning me down meant physical and mental abuse. It was very controlling. It left bruises, wounds, and memories that I will never forget, but I'm able to forgive because I still have breath in my body. Um, the way I escaped from him was even embarrassing. Um, I had to escape from him out of my own home, um, no clothes on my body, naked. And I had to go bang on somebody's door and scream until they came to the door. When they came to the door, it was, of course, dark inside of their apartment. They threw that person, the person was my neighbor that stays in the apartment where I just moved from. And when she turned the light on to check me, make sure I was okay, I was leaking. I was leaking really bad. And she kept asking me, what did the offender hit
And
you
when
with?
you say you was leaking, what were you leaking?
I was leaking the blood out of my ear. Um, my neighbor kept asking me, what did the offender hit me with? And to my knowledge, it was with his hand. That was the last time I took a hit from him. That was the last time I actually laid eyes on him. That was the last time I had any communication with him. The officers, the whole time I was in a relationship, the officers, I'm not going to say they were not helpful, but I will say I felt like more could have been done because I was crying for help. Like I have I have some papers where after everything was said and done, and I actually did start receiving help from officers and government officials as far as DSS. Even the rent lady at the time being was against me and telling my DSS caseworker things that were not true. Basically, just siding with the offender. And I felt that really awkward. It was uncomfortable. It was awkward. It made me feel hopeless. It made me feel like I wasn't going to get out of it. But then came paperwork, which was a paper trail that you would leave when you're crying for help. You're going to leave some type of paper trail. And that paper trail required numerous 911 calls to that address while dealing with that offender that I was in an abusive relationship with. And you could see on that paper trail that they responded, but they never reacted in a responsive manner to help me until that last call for help, which wasn't from my phone. It was from my neighbor's phone, like I said. Um, After that, after I stopped communicating with him, dating him, any of that nature, I shortly was impregnated. I found out I was pregnant, and I wasn't with the father of my daughter. It was just something that happened, and at first I was very depressed because I'm like, who have time, who have space to be bringing in a baby when you just got out of this situation? You haven't gave yourself time to really heal. You haven't gave you and your kids space to really come back from there. And here you is pregnant with this baby. So I cried, I cried, I cried, and I cried. I made the doctors test me 3 times to make sure I was pregnant. I couldn't believe it. I even broke down crying to him. They was like, "Is this a blessing or a curse?" And I was like, "It's a blessing. It's a blessing in so many ways that I didn't understand." But I wasn't ready to bring that baby girl into this world. But I was blessed with her. I brought her into this world. She was born October the 10th, 2020. Her numbers have her
Okay,
birthday.
so she just had a birthday recently.
Yes, ma'am. She would have turned 2. Her numbers, her birthday numbers, the month, the day, the year, it all stands out to me for some reason. It's always stayed in my head. It always made me feel like it's something behind those numbers. Um, when my baby girl was born, um, she wasn't really interacting like a baby should. She wasn't really talking, communicating, smiling. And I had contacted founder and president of Unique Blessings, which happens to be Chantel Evans, and her and a few board members came together. Whatever it was inside of my baby, it was very spiritual, and it could have been possibly from myself due to I had got pregnant with her right after leaving that abusive relationship. So it could have been something that was still in me. And I was just grateful that whatever it was that the board members and Chantel Evans did, whatever it was inside of my baby. My baby was up. My baby was talking. My baby was communicating. She was interacting. And she couldn't talk at that time, but listen, you could tell the difference. She went from looking like death was knocking at the door. And I'm going to say that I didn't feel comfortable saying it in the time being because I wasn't sure what was going on. But I can honestly say that my baby looked like death was knocking at the door, and it was nothing medically wrong with her. Um, but after that anointing from those board members, Miss Chantel, the spiritual world, whatever it was, all my baby needed was that anointing. And I do know it was some type of anointing. It could have been spiritually, it could have been holy. It was anointed.
She was a blessing. She is still a blessing because
It still
she
is.
even still bring us together tonight to even talk about something so serious. And how she tragically lost her life suddenly, unexpectedly, and left a heavy impact, for the little bit of time that she was here. Some of us are here forever and we don't leave impacts like so many of our babies that come to this earth. And the best thing about it, I like what you said, she left and she was still pure.
Mhm.
She wasn't she couldn't leave anything but joy behind, and amazing story. And still so much strength for us to remember her and speak about her. And shout out to you, because I know that the chosen people is only certain people that can stand to go through something like this. This is not anything that's easy. And even with your story, and with, I remember the night that I got the call, saying that she had got hurt, and I didn't get to talk to you about it, and we kind of still, like, I've been looking, I've been there, but we haven't had like really in-depth conversation because it's a sensitive subject. And I know that gun violence had changed our life forever, but it do bring us closer for better days and to support one another. So, in saying that, I don't know, I guess if it's too difficult, you can say it's too difficult, but if you have strength, I want you just to explain to us, how did you lose your daughter? What happened? What was that day like?
The day, I can never forget that day. That day losing my daughter. It was it's always been taught to me there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. That day and and days before, I kept getting comments about my baby girl. Oh, she's such a perfect little girl. The doctor. Oh, she's perfectly healthy. Um, and so she is. Period. Oh, she's so precious. She's so perfect. This little girl. Her name is Carson. Carson is her first name. Rochelle's her middle. Maskey hyphen Thompson is her last. Born October 10th, 2020. The day she left was June 25th, 2022. That day had been so, and there's no such thing as perfect, but I had to use perfect because I don't know what else to do. It was sunny that day. Um, Me and my neighbor had made breakfast from scratch for the kids, literally my kids and her kids, the neighborhood kids. It was just like we was tuned in with the kids. Like, let's find something to do with these kids because we all here in this um public housing area, and a lot of people forget about our kids. So let's dedicate this day to the kids, and that's pretty much what the day was planned for, the kids specifically.
And let's go back real quick. You said something real quick. You said it's public housing area and people forget about the kids. When you say people forget about the kids, elaborate on that a little bit.
um, you have some people that care so much for those kids, but then you have those parents that's in those households who don't care to pay the kids any attention. So it's like you got people that care, then you got people not. It's not that they don't care, but it's like why bother when the parents not trying to put in the effort so much as a signature or so much as a phone call to see what is it that the kids are talking about when people are trying to involve themselves with the kids to do things for the kids. So this particular neighborhood that I moved to, there were a few people, that came down here and cared, but it was more of parents had to interact together. Where I am located currently now, where I reside, it's a one way in, one way out community. Um, Majority females, not too many men over here, but a lot of kids. Meaning kids coming from other neighborhoods because they're little cousins over here or something like that. And we always hear the kids complain about they're bored, they have nothing to do. Can we do this? Can we do that? Like all the kids in this particular community would try to come together and figure something out for themselves to do and see if they could get their parents to agree. So on this particular day that I lost my daughter, we beat the kids to the punch and decided that we as adults were going to find something for those kids to do instead of them coming to us and try to see what they could do. And I started off with home cooked breakfast from scratch. It After the kids ate breakfast, we sent them outside to play. You know, of course, it was too hot out there, but we couldn't tell the kids no, they can't go outside to play. They want to go outside. They don't understand they can't go outside and play because it's too hot outside. They should know they want to go outside. So instead of telling them no, then we let them go outside. And eventually they came back in talking about it's hot. You got some cold water. And they even had little Carson with them. Little Carson was the only child in the house with me that morning after breakfast. There was a knock at my door, and this little girl is amazing. She got a knock at the door. There were like four young adults, and I call them young adults because eventually one day there will be adults. Um, four little young female adults, and they was like, "Can Carson come outside and play?" And before I could say yes or no, Carson had shoes on the right feet. She had her cup in her hand. She put her shirt and her pants on and said, "Okay, mommy, see you later." And just walked out the door, grabbed their hand. Like, I'm looking at this little girl like, did she just tell me she gonna see me later? I think I'm the parent here, but it was so cute and adorable because I don't know too many 1 year olds that could talk that good or put their shoes on the right foot, know they right from left, know they ABCs, they 1, 2, 3 their colors. So it was amazing that I had 1 year old that knew that much. I was proud mother, still is a proud mother, even though that little girl, she may not physically be here with us, but she's still here spiritually, mentally, she's still here. I gave life to her, and God came and took his angel, so she's still my baby. I'm still proud to be her Barbie to this very day. Wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. But that particular day, kids ate breakfast. They went outside, played for a little bit. Then some of the neighbors asked me could the kids go swimming. I did not send my two babies, which at the time was Carson and my baby boy Quayson, who's 6. I did not send them two, but I did send the oldest two to go swimming. Um, Crazy as it sounds, for a second I forgot that my two babies was with the neighbors swimming, but the neighbors never let me forget it, of course. They were taking turns, keeping an eye on them back and forth. Even there's even a young lady, well, an elderly lady that stays above me. She had just found out she had breast cancer, and she's still battling it. The day she found out, Carson, being the angel that she is, the lady, she was crying. She had just found out. We were supporting her, letting her know it's gonna be okay. She's not in this battle by herself. And my little girl, that little angel, picked up a pin that she seen on the ground. And you know, we always teach our kids not to pick things up off the ground. But this particular moment, something just came in my ears and said, just watch her. And I watched. I stood back and I watched. She picked that penny up off the ground. My baby did not put it in her mouth. She didn't run off with it. Normally, that's what little 1 year olds do. They play. That's all they know is to play. This particular day, as the elderly lady was crying about her finding out she had breast cancer, my daughter picked up that penny and she walked over there to the lady while she was crying. Lady was sitting in a chair outside. We were in the breezeway where I'm residing, and my daughter handed her that penny and put her head on her lap and gave her a hug, like wrapped her little arms as if she could have the whole world wrapped in her arms. And she wrapped her arms around that lady and just gave her a hug. Now, to my understanding, a lot of people think that infants, toddlers, children, babies don't really understand what's going on. That alone showed me that my baby girl knew something wasn't right. She knew that this lady was crying. She knew that anything she could do to make this lady stop crying, she was going to do just that. And her giving that lady that penny made that lady wipe her tears and start laughing. And then I said to everybody, I said, that's a penny for your thought. I said, my daughter wants you to know that you're gonna be okay. that whoever it is that allowed her to move that way, but and of course we know it was God. My daughter knew that something wasn't right. The lady was crying, and it's like, wow, she's the only one. How did she know? Moving forward back to the day that she lost her life, there were a couple of things that were going on with my daughter that I did not quite understand in the timing that it was going on. So when while the boys were at the pool, instead of bringing my two babies in the house, I stayed outside with them to still let them get playtime just because they could not go to the pool without me. So I let them play outside. I had a DSS casework at the time. He ended up coming. I said that it was unannounced a little while ago, but when I looked into my phone records, he did notify me that he was coming. For some reason, like I say, my phone was not working for some odd reason. At that time, and my phone was not working. I was trying to pull my phone out, capture the moment that my daughter was, enjoying. And for some odd reason, my phone would not capture those moments. I didn't receive those text messages and phone calls from the DSS caseworker, and I couldn't understand why. When the DSS caseworker joined us, he stayed with us. He stayed with us for about an hour, with just me, Carson, and Quason. He stayed with us about an hour. He played with Carson. She was real silly, jokey. We had two neighbors outside with us, and they was just like, "Oh my gosh, this little girl, like she's a mess." She was outside playing by herself. I ain't have none of her toys outside with us. She was running from us, making us chase her, laughing, just doing what a 1-year-old would do. And Quason kept asking, "Mommy, can we walk to the pool? Can we walk to the pool?" And I kept telling him, yeah, and I never walked those two babies that I still had with me to the pool. We just pretty much stayed outside, letting them enjoy themselves and stuff like that. And in that time frame with them enjoying themselves, I remember my baby girl picking up this stick. It had to be this. It was the same exact size as her, maybe a little shorter. And with that stick, she started walking like a little old lady, acting like she was walking with a cane. Mind you, I don't know where this little girl was getting this stuff from, but it was cute. It was really cute. She started getting a little further away from me, and I started calling her Carson. Come back, Carson. She's laughing, joking, and I'm letting her because she's a child. She don't know no better. But she never came back to me calling her Carson. She just kept laughing, going here, running here, want me to chase her. But then again, in the middle of that, 7, and I'm going to say 7 because that's exactly what it was. 7 red cars, middle of day, like 80, 90 degrees outside, surrounding my baby girl. And I just stood there, trying to figure it out. Couldn't figure it out. They stayed there. They played, those 7 red cardinals played with my baby, surrounded her. Like those red cardinals allowed my daughter to get close enough for her to touch her. And I've never seen that happen before. And I'm about to be 30 years old, and I've still never seen nothing like that until my 1-year-old daughter allowed me to see that. God allowed me to see it. And still in that time frame, in the back of my mind, I'm like, cardinals only come around when they're coming to take the angel back to heaven. It's something I've always been told. I'm not sure how true it is, but it's something I've always been told. And in the back of my head, I'm like, who could they be sending this down for? Never thinking my kids or anything of that nature. Not even thinking so soon as the same day. Um, and she just kept playing. After the Cardinals flew off, sat. They went and sat. They sat on a fence that was close to my daughter, and they just kept watching her twiddling and twerking, communicating amongst those 7 red carpets. We just kept communicating. Um, I even watched that alone and still could not get an understanding of what exactly was taking place in that moment. Um, she went back to walking with that little stick that I consider her cane. And at that time being, some just say, tune in and call her somebody else's name. And I was like, Grandma Addie. And she kind of responded, but she really didn't. So I said, okay, Aunt Mickey. And she started responding between those two names. Those two people are related to me. Grandma Eddie is my great grandma who has been deceased 9 years, almost 10, this upcoming year that we're about to be entering with 2023. And Aunt Mickey has been there, say, about 5, 6 years behind her mother. Um, so both of those ladies are deceased. And I don't know what made me call my baby those names, but she had a stick, like I said, walking with a cane. And I've always been told she had an old soul. So I called her those names, and that's when she started communicating with me. I then took them into the house because Quaysland and Carson started getting sleepy. Not only were they the only ones sleepy, but I was too. So before I came in, the neighbors told me that when the boys came back from swimming with the other neighbors, she would walk them in the house. So I told her that I would leave my door unlocked in case I fell asleep and didn't hear. Quayston went in the room and he lay down. He fell asleep watching cartoons. Me and Carson stayed in the living room. We fell asleep watching TV in the reclining chair that my grandmother had bought as a baby shower present when before I had her and broke her home. That was a baby shower present for me and Carson from my grandma. We fell asleep in that reclining chair. We had to be asleep every bit of an hour and a half to 2 hours. Um, my little sister Asia, she was with us. She was with us outside. She was with us through the whole entire process because she was here in my home for the weekend. She wanted to see her nephews and niece. She had not seen them since my mom and her had relocated. This year. So it was pretty much uh, my kids, my sister, and the neighbors. God, of course. And when the kids returned in the house, Asia was in the room. I want to say she was asleep, but I know for a fact she was in the room, like down herself. And I had woke up. And when I woke up, I knew I had to go to the grocery store because we were all planning to cook and cook for our kids in the community, let them eat, put them to bed. Um, and that was supposed to be how the day ended. Fortunately, that's not how the day ended. The day ended traumatizing. I left to go to the grocery store. The last time I physically got to kiss, touch, or say anything to my daughter is when I removed her off my chest and put her onto that reclining chair so that I could go to the store. Everything in me told me to take my daughter with me. But then I thought if I took my daughter, I would have to take all of the children. And I knew exactly what I was going to get out of the grocery store. I knew how long it was going to take me to get there and to get back. So I didn't feel the need to take them. I stepped into the room and let my sister know that I was going to the grocery store, who is over 16 and can be left with children in the home. My neighbors also were informed by myself that I was going to the grocery store to get my portion of the food that we were going to be feasting off of with our children, and they told me that they were going to keep a lookout on the kids, even with my sister being in here. I requested it, and they did just that. Um, Not knowing that my neighbor who had helped me make breakfast from scratch had left her purse in my home in my reclining chair with her firearm in it. So I knew she was legal to carry. I did not know her firearm was left in my home unattended. And what I mean by unattended is even with me being here, that's her firearm. She's a concealed carrier. So that's what I mean by left unattended. Even with me as an adult being in here, her gun was still left unattended because she's the owner. And it was supposed to happen with her or on her, not left in someone's home. Um, as I was on my way to the grocery store, I'd say I was gone 5 minutes before I got the phone call. My neighbors told me I wasn't even going 5 minutes. Um, I got the phone call from a neighbor who just turned 20 and she's also about to be a first time parent. At the end of this year, between December and January, she's about to be a first time parent. And she had to give me that phone call. She had to make that phone call. And she really didn't know how to tell me. She was very panicky. She was scaring me.
So when you say she had to make that phone call, what was that phone call that she made?
She had to make the phone call to myself, letting me know that my daughter had been shot. She was the one who could move a little quicker, or maybe possibly have had her phone on her right when she got notified what was going on. However, she was the one who had to make the phone call to me. And she couldn't get her words straight out. It was very difficult for her. It took her 5 to 7 minutes to get that physically out of her mouth. By that time, I had already knew something was wrong because she had never contacted me like that.
And
And
so you get the phone call, your daughter just got shot.
yeah,
What was going through your head at that time? Are you
at
at the
that
house? Are you at the grocery store at this
I
time
was
when the
on my
call is
way.
coming
I
in?
was on my way to the grocery store. We had just pulled in the parking lot of the grocery store. We were getting out of the vehicle, and
So you hadn't
so
even made it into the grocery store yet, and you get a
no,
phone call that your
yes,
daughter had been shot.
yes. Um, when I got the phone call, she just kept saying, "You need to get back. You need to get back. You need to get back." And I was like, "What you mean I need to get back?" And I'm thinking it's a prank or something. But as I'm staying on the phone with her, at this point, I know it's not a prank because her voice was getting more shaky. And she was like, "Your baby just got shot." She didn't say which one. She just said, "Your baby got shot." And I took off running back to the vehicle. It was her mother that I was with that had gave me a ride to the grocery store. Me and her mother had went to the grocery store together. So her mother was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I really couldn't explain it. So I was just like, "We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta get to the house." And she was like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I was like, "I don't know." She said something about one of my kids being shot. And she was like, "Who? Who?" And I was like, "Your daughter, your daughter." And, no, mentally, physically, yes, I did lose it. I did go crazy. And she allowed me to have that space in her vehicle. I was beating the dashboard, kicking the dashboard. Told her she was like, she called me sis. She was like, "Sis, run the red lights." I said, "Please, please run the turn. You have the lights on, run the red lights. Don't stop at no red light. Don't stop in the, stop at the stop sign, but don't stop at no red light. This is an emergency. Like, turn your red lights on. Turn your headlights on." She was stopping with, of course, she was stopping to make sure nobody was going to hit us because, mind you, I'm in an uproar, so she can't really listen to me because at this point I'm just reacting off of impulse. So she was stopping, but she also kept going. She did not sit at none of those red lights because we already know it's a child shot. And her first thing was to get me there because it's one of mine.
Hmm.
So no, we didn't stop at any red lights, but she did do it with cautious, stopping as if it was a um yellow light. So with caution. We did make it back within 5 minutes. Um, by the time we made it back, we could not pull into my parking lot because fire truck, police, paramedic. Um, all I remember is getting out of the vehicle. I remember getting out of her vehicle, and they was like, Quay, your baby been shot. At this time, I'm still not knowing his car. So as I'm approaching, I'm running at this point to get to my baby and to figure out which one it was. And that's when they told me Carson shot, Carson shot. And I was like, what? Like, what you mean my daughter being shot? I don't have a gun in my house. I don't have that type of stuff around my kids. And the young lady who owned the gun then came out running. Um, she came out running, and the way she ran into me is almost like somehow, some way, we was able to run into each other's arms, but still stay in the direction to run to my kids. So the officers were standing there. They had already lined up because they had already put two and two together that I was Pam, I was the mother of the child that was shot. So they prepared themselves for me. They would not let me get close to my daughter, and I ran full fledged. So I was clotheslined by those officers. They didn't clothesline me by putting their hands out or anything. They were only reacting to where at that point I could not touch my daughter. I could not move her. Anything that could possibly cause her to lose her life could not be done to her. And of course, a parent in that situation wants to hold their child, wants to kiss their child, and I could not. They would not allow it. So it's not that they set up too close on me. They set up for me not to react and do anything that could have triggered her, gaining her life. Um, they told me that my daughter was alive when they responded. When I seen my daughter coming out on that stretcher, my daughter was not alive. A parent knows their child. A parent knows when their child has breath in their body and when they doesn't. At that time, when I seen that stretcher coming out of my breezeway with my little baby on it, the first thing I looked at, and it was almost like I had goggles. I could zoom in and zoom out. It was like my mind was operated to run as a computer in that very moment. The first thing I paid attention to when I seen my daughter, I first got a good look at her whole body. And then it was like something my mind triggered and started zooming in, zoom out because I could not even get close to her. You know, first thing I seen after I seen her body was my daughter's eye. Her eyelids were already halfway shut. I didn't see her pupils moving. Second thing I looked at was my daughter's chest. I didn't see no breath in her chest. I didn't see her chest pumping. Third thing I looked at was her toes and her fingers. I didn't even see my baby fingers and toes twisted. So I knew my baby did not have any breath in her body. I knew my baby was gone. And that was the first thing I hollered and screamed. It's a feeling I can't explain. It's almost like you're numb, like you zone out into this place that you don't even really know exists until you actually have to go through it. So I was very much numb. When the girl told me I feel like I find peace and respect for this young lady who owned the gun because she did a lot of things that she could have run away from. Instead of her running away, she faced it, and that alone gave me a little peace. It helped me forgive, and she don't understand what she did for me, but in due time she will. Um, she she whispered in my ear that that was her gun, before anybody else could tell me who gun that was that shot my daughter and my son, because I also had a son that was shot with along with his
Okay,
sister.
yeah. So you had two children that got shot that night.
Yes, yes,
Wow.
ma'am.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
she instead of me finding out how my kids got shot, what gun they got shot with, she was able to put that into my ear as everything was happening. Most people won't be able to do that. So that was
And let me ask you a question just for the audience. I know we winding down on time, might go over a little bit, but just a little bit. If you feel comfortable answering this, you can. If you don't, then I totally understand. But do you feel comfortable explaining to us who pulled the trigger? Was it the girl who owned the gun? Like we heard you say that it was a gun inside of the chair, and for so just to re-ramp a little bit. So the children were home. They had a great day that day. You went out to get your food, and y'all was gonna collectively do something for the children and cook and have dinner. Y'all had a good day. So the gun was in a chair. You left Carson on a chair. How did where did the gun even come from? Who had the gun? What happened?
um
If you feel comfortable talking about that part.
I was told by two of my children that my oldest son had the gun in his hand when it went off. Um, I would never say he meant to pull that trigger, but that gun was in his hand when it went off.
And how old is your oldest son?
He's 9. He'll be
So
10 in
9 years
February.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so 9 years old. And I'm sure that that's trauma and traumatic, even as for with all the children you have. So this at this time you have one that's on a stretcher that's lifeless. You have another one that's shot. So do you have two children going out on stretchers? Or at what point did you find out that it wasn't even just one? It was in fact two of your children, and the 9-year-old actually got a hold of this firearm that apparently, didn't
I
have a
didn't
safety on it, a gun
find
lock or anything.
I didn't find out my other child was shot until officers said that we needed another paramedic. And I was like,
Wow.
for what? And
Wow.
they was like somebody's dripping blood. My 7-year old, who's now 8, he got shot in his hand. Um, he never announced that he was shot. Um, he pretty much
So
tried to
probably
hide.
from the shock and the trauma, he probably
Hmm. He
I couldn't even imagine what that sight looked like even as a child to see you're the big brother, yeah, you're 7, but I met all your children and they
hmm
are very protective over one another.
hmm
And
hmm
so I can only in my heart go out to, them having to, just still continue to go past this even with you. Um, to not have their one and only sister with them anymore, so the trauma that the kids are gonna have to live with for the rest of their life,
hmm
due to and I hate to say it, someone who left their firearm around innocent children, um, that truly are innocent and like any other children, they want to touch, they want to feel.
Yep.
Whenever I spent time with them, they are full of energy, full of life. All of them, even Carson actually was the teacher
Yeah.
of everybody. And so it breaks my heart to know that, they lose such a precious gift, but they also gain, a mother like you. And for you, I think it's amazing for you to even display the spirit of forgiveness. Forgiveness, like that, in my opinion and in my mind, is going to be your refuge. It's going to help you heal. It's going to help you continue to do exactly what you're doing right now tonight. Be a voice for that person. I mean, even with these numbers that I said earlier, it's 110 people that's going to lose their lives per day. And nobody knows, how do I get through this? What do I do? What's life like? We got the holidays coming. And I remember when you first lost Carson, I even told you, you're sitting here trying to hold me up. People supposed to be trying to hold you up, so so I commend you for that. But how are the children doing now? Like what is it like for you, and what is it like for them? And are you all receiving therapy? And It's just like so many questions that I'm sure I have,
We
and I'm sure that the audience will have as well. And what do you tell the mother? Because now you have a baby girl who's gone, you have a son who's recovering, and you have another son, who two more sons actually, who's recovering as well from looking at their siblings and learn how to go from having four of us to now three of us, and still having to navigate with this and being so young. And I feel like this is where the community needs to step in. These stories should go beyond a 3-minute news clip, if you even get 3 minutes. um and like, what do you need from the community? What can you suggest that the community do to prevent this from happening to their loved ones, if you can? And if it does happen, how do we get through it? So, like, just pour into that for me before we close out the show. Just like, tell me,
um,
how do you move on, and what do you suggest, and what is it that you need?
to prevent things like this from happening, um, guns need to be put in a place that children cannot reach. They need to be they need to be locked down properly. If they're not going to be locked down properly, there are locks that go inside of those guns. Those guns need to be unlocked. They do not need to be left out of sight. If you have a curious child, or a child that's just, you know, touchy feely, or very adventurous, things like that should not be placed inside of their eyesight, because they're going to touch it. They're going to get curious. You could tell a child a million times not to touch or do something, but if they anxious enough, they're going to just do what you told them not to do. Um, I mean, even us as adults, I feel like guns are supposed to be for protection when somebody's doing an invasion. Or, for instance, if you're a concealed carry, you have the right to place your gun however you want to on you. For men or women who have jobs where they're out late at night or out early in the morning, those guns are for protection. So,
I totally
um,
agree, because I'm concealed carry, and I carry every day, but I also have
they're
grandchildren,
not for
right?
show. They're not toys. They're
No,
not. They're not supposed. I mean, it's just they're not. They're not for show. They're not for toys. A lot of people go get firearms and become a field carrier just for show. They wanna. They want
yeah.
that publicity. They want that spotlight. And really, when it's a weapon, why you want that? Why do you want that? A weapon
And I'm
cannot
telling you,
a
as
weapon cannot
concealed,
go off by itself. A weapon does
and
not
as a
kill
concealed
anybody.
carry, as a licensed concealed carry firearm owner, we have different classes. It's not the same as you just go and get your gun permit and you go purchase a gun. Concealed
Exactly.
carry teaches us you never depart from your firearm, ever.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I mean, and so even sometimes my son fuss, even if nobody's home, and some days I might don't want to carry, and my son is like, look, why aren't you carrying? Like, don't even leave it home alone, because if someone break into your house, you have intrusion, somebody can get to your firearm, and
Mhm.
you can get killed with your own firearm
Mhm.
because it's left unattended. um
Mhm.
I personally, I have a lock for my gun, but I could get a wire cutter and cut the lock off of my gun
Mhm.
and put the clip back in. So I'm one of the
Mhm.
ones, I'm not even comfortable with the lock on, because my mind go in strange places. It goes, what if somebody brought, this kind of clip, and they could just take it and, insert the clip.
Mhm.
So I am big on, the firearms and making sure that we are responsible with the firearms. I'm also a single woman, and I also do a very dangerous job. So for that, I need to have my firearm. But on the flip side, I also have loved ones. I also have myself. And if we're not going to be responsible with these firearms, and especially our concealed carriers, I say that you know better. And it used to be at times I was not for guns. I am actually pro gun now, but I do feel like that we need more tougher gun laws, if I
And
can be
it's
honest with
and
myself.
I just
Um,
I find myself sometimes even thinking about the situation myself because no, I am not a concealed carrier, but yes, I have permits, and even so as myself, I removed guns and ammunition out of my home when I
yes,
seen that my children know how to take things apart and put them back together.
yes.
Once I seen
And
that,
I think every little boy, if I must say, I mean, from just even growing up, I remember the big thing that all my brothers wanted to do. They wanted to be cops. You feel me? Like it was sad to say when I was coming up, they played cops and robbers. Both got guns. Cops got guns and the robbers
exactly.
got guns, you know. So I think just as a natural instinct for in that masculine energy for boys to want to take apart and touch things and build it and put it together and see how it works. But we also like if it's our gun, I would definitely like to see more tougher gun laws. Like I said, gun locks are nice, and we had a meeting with the coalition out here. I sit on the board and we speak about gun violence. I was not happy to hear the solution to guns and gun incidents was a gun lock. No, I want to hear tougher laws, tougher legislation. I don't want us to be de-armed, but if we come down to it, I'd rather have more lives that's saved than more lives that's lost. And so if I have to give up my firearms so that we can see a better world, I will Wakanda you or Woman King you, but we don't have to have the guns because it's stories like this that plague our community, that kill our community, that hurt our community, that tear our community up. And we as adults, we need to put be better examples for ourselves and for our children. And again, I'm gonna say it a million times, you are better than me because I'm not sure that I would even allow God to open me up to forgive someone. So for you just to step up and forgive another sister and understand that she too was going to go through some tragedy, I
She
think
has
that
her
is
own.
awesome.
She
I think it's
my this is
awesome.
my thing. She's dealing with it, and she may and her trauma may be worse than mine because it was her gun. You know, she has her own conscience to deal with. She has a God to answer to, and then you got to think about the word that we're in today. You got those government officials that's going to deal with her as well. So it's like it's no reason
Yes.
for me to be angry. It's no reason for nobody to go out and hurt somebody. It's not going to bring my daughter back. It's not going to undo what's already been done. It's not going to do
You're
nothing but
awesome.
cause another family to hurt just as
You're
much as me
awesome.
or worse.
You're awesome. If we all could think like that, especially in the name of retaliation, if we all could think like that, we could be so far. I hope to see you out advocating. I know that you already do something with Unique Blessings, but in the name of gun violence, and let me tell y'all, I never in a million, quadrillion, gazillion, bazillion, if that's numbers, years would have thought that I would sit and even be a voice and an advocate for lives that was lost due to gun incidents and gun violence. As some people know, a lot of people probably know, I experienced the loss of my children father, and it took me 20 years to just say, you know what, maybe 19, to say, you know what, I forgive that individual. Because we all not resilient, you know, at the same level. Some of us it take longer, and some of us we get right to it and we can get in, and that's up to God, I think. And so it's an honor to really sit here and just be a voice for this subject that I used to could not talk about. And it's funny how things come back around. And when you're called and you're chosen and you're anointed and you're appointed to do this, you just gonna do it. You just gonna do it because it's gonna keep coming until you open your mouth, until you give praise, until you say, okay, I give my whole self and I am a voice. So even in Carson coming to grace us, Carson left so that you can become, and you and I talked about that. Carson also helped cultivate and bring back to life a little girl in you that you had lost so long ago, and little girls in us, and so many things. And can't tell about, our little art stuff that we got going on, but I
Yeah,
can't
can't tell
wait
them
till I
about it.
release that. I can't wait till that's released.
I
And
can't
all
wait
of
till it's
that is
released
because of this
either.
this baby girl, that just kind of still speaks to us, still work with us. Spirits never die. You know how we feel about that in Unique Blessings. Spirits are always
Hmm.
here. Your physical self can go, it can rest in power, but that spirit energy is always going to be here, and it's going to be here to lead us into places and spaces like this so that we can live in our divine assignment, so that we can be the proof that, healing is real, that God works, right? I am not, want everybody to know, I'm not religious. I am spiritual, but God works, and God will work even more when we do, and we start to open our mouths and we start to say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what happened, and I too am a survivor of circumstances. Someone says, hi, Queen Unique and Quay. Blessings to you, Quay. Your smile is contagious. I see there is so much strength in your smile. I'm happy to see you smiling. Quay, you look absolutely beautiful tonight. Let
Thank
me tell you,
you.
you are working that brush. You are working that bald head. The bald head stylist up in the building. Um, Everybody know, and this is to those that don't know. This is when you come and you work with Unique Blessings. I don't do the let's stop, not come and let's pray. No, we gonna talk. We gonna be regular. We gonna still have life, and all things, because that's where healing lives. It doesn't die. um, Watiana says, I love you, my sister Quay. I thank you for your voice today because you showed up, you showed out, you did it with strength. Love you, sister of Unique Blessings. Shout out to Unique Blessings family.
I love you
Um,
too, YT.
I am so happy to like see y'all crowns like continue to get these jewels and just glistering and going. This work is definitely not easy at all. I met you in one thing and then it go to something else. But most of all, you all give me strength. You all give me courage. I appreciate you for really coming on this platform, because this is not an easy thing to do. It's not. You could go, you could tuck your tail, but you choose not to. So I thank you for not letting the low vibrations take control of this. I thank you for not letting Carson's life just die. I thank you for allowing, for sharing her with us, in a physical, and now being her representative in the spiritual world. Is so much that I can say, and most of all, I'm grateful to the Most High for allowing us to come back again on Sunday. I'm telling you, Quay, I was like, you know what, we really ain't gotta do this podcast tonight because we already been down. It don't really matter, It did. Something said, child, if you don't, Carson gonna get you. So
Yeah.
shout out to that
She was
amazing,
coming to see you
amazing
tonight.
soul. Man, she's already here in
I
spirit.
already know.
Um, yeah, I'm blessed that she never left, and she won't ever leave you, and so she's living through you, and you look at that. Oh, look at that. She's absolutely beautiful. Baby Carson, that's an angel. So I
Oh, you
definitely.
can't
Wow, blessings to her life.
tell.
So someone, I don't know who the Facebook user is, but thank you, Facebook users. So they said, I believe we should educate our children, ourselves and our children, have these conversations with them, teach them instead of take away what is a part of their life. This is a battle I believe we can win if we look at it from a perspective. Guns like cigarettes. The government, no, they kill, but for the love of money and the power, they keep turning their heads and throw us a bone like they care, like, hold on, throw us a bone like they care, like they're in guns. I don't know what they mean, but when they keep feeding us the guns, so to beat them at their own game, we got to take guns. We got to take the guns and teach. I actually agree with that. So I was even thinking about this gun education and what can we do and bringing more solutions to guns. I actually have the mindset to say let's not punish, let's educate. Since this is something that a lot of us are interested in for our own different reasons and perspectives, then we should make it a priority to put spaces of education on proper gun use and procedures and what are they for. They're not just used to defend yourselves, they're also used for hunting, they're also used to collect,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not a bad thing, right, that we
Right.
have this here, but we do have a lack of education. I also would like to see some of those fees go away because some people can't afford to pay for the education. It's not that they won't take the education, but when you have inflation going crazy, you're trying to rob Peter to pay Paul and sometimes steal from Saul, like you don't have the finances to afford you this particular education. I challenge gun owners personally to continue to advocate, share the information that we all learn when we take those classes that we pay for. I'm willing to share my information. Everybody know that I love investing in education, always that you look at it. I'm willing to share my information with those that are serious about doing something and with those that are serious about passing this information and educating others so that we can reclaim our lives and save our babies. Um, we are at 8:18, 8:19 now. So I'm not going to hold you much longer, but I will ask you before we close out if it's anything that you could tell families that have lost children, especially with these holidays coming. If there's anything that you can tell them that's going to help them do this thing that we call Let's Heal Together, what would you tell them?
It's hard to say, but it's easier said than done as well. You just kind of like gotta deep down within yourself, and you gotta talk to God. When you dig down deep within yourself, you gotta talk to God. You gotta take God down there with you, and what you do is you ask Him to remove the hate and the anger. You ask Him to allow you the space to enjoy those holidays and still continue to love and be yourself. Because when you don't ask specifically for that, you may get that and then something else behind it that you may not even care for. So what I had to do was I had to dig down within myself, and I always, and even till this day, I ask God to take the anger away from me, take the hate away from me. I don't want to hate. I don't want to be angry. I don't know how to hate. I don't know how to be angry. I've never been a hateful person. And that's where you really have control over everything that goes on. But you have to, when you ask God about it, you still have to continue reciting it to yourself, because the more you hear it come out of your own mouth, the better off your mind will be able to operate without it being so stuffy, without it being so cloudy, without you feeling like you all over the place. And you're gonna have your moments. They're going to come. You just gotta get through it. Like, if you got people around you that's nagging you, bad talking you, or you don't know what they got going on, so every time you come around, you feeling this way, but when that person not around you, you okay. You gotta get rid of them.
Oh, yeah.
Simple.
Oh,
You got to
yeah.
get rid of them,
Oh, yeah.
because what happens is when you're going through something so traumatic, you have to be careful who you're socializing yourself with. You have to be careful who you communicate with. You have to be careful who you share your stories and your traumas with. Like, you just really have to be careful all the way around board, and that is because you don't know what type of entity, spirit, or energy you're consuming from that person. When you're okay without that type of person around you, but as soon as you get around that person, it's all these other crazy feelings. It ain't healthy. It's not healthy, because that man that once upon a time was an angel called Satan, he feeds off of negativity. He feeds off of your weak mind, your weak stability, your he feed off of nothing but weaknesses. When you could say God, the devil a liar, or God, go tell your brother to sit down somewhere, or tell your other angel to sit down somewhere, because the way everybody fail to realize is Satan wasn't always Satan. He was once upon a time an angel too. So you still have to know how to talk to Satan without actually going down there with Satan. And it involves God. Like you have to be able to face those challenges. You have to know what you're going to do, how you're going to maneuver. And when you got negative energy, or you got even if you got somebody else going through something similar or something that's nothing compared to yours, but all they do is complain, complain, complain. You want to be there for them, even if you want to be there for them. If you don't want to completely cut them off, you have to give yourself that space and distance for yourself to heal because you're not going to heal with you in their situation colliding together and both of y'all feeling some type of way. You're not going to heal them. So with my situation, I had to quit. I had to ask God. I had to ask God, show me who is for. Show me who is against me. And those that is against me, allow me to forgive them in in so many ways. God help them. Help them in whatever you see that they need help in. Like because sometimes people don't know how to go and talk to God, you know. So but like I say, some you still have to respect yourself, your situation. And like I say, my situation it's my tragedy, yes, because I'm the mother of that little girl, that little adorable little girl, right? But it's so many people that communicated with her, so many people that got to love on her, even if it was through a picture or for a second, through via email or website. They got that moment. They got their moment and they're proud that they got their moment. So it's not just my situation. So I'm when everything took place, I was very respectful and mindful of others that was involved in it. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't only me protecting myself. It wasn't only me protecting the tragedy. It wasn't only me protecting my kids. It wasn't only me protecting my sister because she was here too. She was involved too. It's me protecting anybody that had association, communication, affiliation with my children. And that's it. It's a lot to take on, but when you asking for that type of energy from God, you're gonna receive it because you not only worried about yourself in this situation, you worry about anybody, you even if it was just for 5 seconds. That person is gonna be involved because for those 5 seconds they communicated with one of those kids that belong to me. And everybody know that yeah, we was blessed to have these kids, but these God kids, these not our kids. So
And they the
you
village. I think they the village kids. I think that's where that saying come from. It truly, truly takes a village.
it
Like
takes a
it
village to
takes
raise
a
a
village.
child.
You have
Mm-hmm.
aunties and uncles and
Mm-hmm.
godmamas and teachers and
Mm-hmm.
friends and so I sometimes wish we could stay a kid forever because that is a big old support system. And then when you turn 18, auntie be like, but that's when you was little. And so like shout out to the kids for being the source
Yep.
that give us so much positive energy and that angel and that example of what God is supposed to be. Like so I thank you. I thank you so much and I thank God for the moment and for the life and for these children. Well y'all don't say children down the south, y'all say chaps. So for these chaps, whatever
My
that means.
baby's
I don't
not
know where
no
y'all got that.
look, look, look.
I
Look,
don't even know what that
I
word
don't call
means.
my
Like
babies chaps. I call my babies king and queen.
prince and princess. My mother said I'm not a
Mm-hmm.
queen. My mother said I'm a princess. My mother
Uh,
said you ain't no queen. You're a princess. So whatever. Princess, king, queen, but kingdom like, and we all are the babies of a king.
I
So
told I
thank
told
you. Huh?
I told somebody the other day my kid taught me a lot more than what I've taught my kid.
Oh
My
yeah. Oh yeah.
my kids
They
are
teach us
the
way more.
yeah, my
Oh,
kids my
whenever somebody said my grandmother couldn't stand the word chat, I never heard chat until I moved down to the Carolinas. So we never said that. And then when I said kids, they said that's a billy goat. So I just go back to offspring. I go to offsprings like offspring a word. Um, but I don't know. We call them children, but I don't know what they are. They're
They're
pieces
little
of us. They're the
people.
best
They're
part
little
of us.
people.
They're the best part of us. I think they're the better part of us. I think that when
Hmm.
we procreate and reincarnate, that it just gets better and better and better and better with time, which is the amazing thing about life cycle. So they ours, they're us, they are us, we are them, and I look forward to having more of these conversations. Like I said, I never thought I would be having conversations about the guns, and I try to run from it because I am from Baltimore City, and we lost a lot of people due to this. Just lost somebody I knew this last week actually to gun, and it's crazy that where I'm from, gun violence is like our normal. Like we actually wake up to see who's kind of not to see who's going to be next, but with the expectation of knowing that it'll be one of us soon. And I don't think that any human being should live like that. And just, it's we can go so many places with this, carrying this amazing skin that we have also makes us targets of a lot of things. And I know that if we continue to have these uncomfortable conversations and we continue just to, join forces together and advocate and educate, that will raise our villages back to the standards that they need to be. And you know that Unique Blessings is here to support you and walk through this journey with you. We are not stopping with you. I am proud of you. I thank you again for coming on here and for being transparent with your story. Some people are not this brave to even go this far. I thank the audience for being respectful and for giving us encouraging words as well as you go through this. Um, I guess we somewhere on YouTube tonight. This podcast kind of went a little, technical difficulty. So yeah, I think we belong to one end, but we screaming from another end. So y'all just share this, subscribe, do a replay. It wasn't our fault. Carson, that's the way she wanted it. She said you done went on tagged all them people. No, ain't even going down like that. So y'all just yeah, just go and share it. And thanks again to my Unique Blessings family for always being here with us, for helping us provide awareness and advocate for all our survivors and victims of human trafficking, domestic violence, and sexual assault. Shaquay is a survivor of those things and more. So we are grateful for your advocacy and your work in the community. I hope that you educate all of the stylists around the globe that you come in contact with, and we're gonna keep it going for you. So that's all I pretty much have tonight. It's 8:30. I gave y'all a whole extra 30 minutes, and the church plate's still empty. So with that being said, we might be back next Sunday. We might not be. I think we on like episode number 4. I think that's like number 4. I don't count episodes. I just count whenever the spirit say do it, we do it. So I will see y'all back again on some Sunday. It might be next Sunday. It might be one in the now, but I see y'all back on a Sunday at 7 p.m. Until then, like just repeat, replay, share, tag, add something on, comment in there. We might can start a conversation. But that's all I have to say. So Quay, for the audience, where can they find you at on social media? Like where could they find you at to talk to you more, or those people that might want to hear more about your story?
You could find me on social media on Facebook. My Facebook name is Latia Monroe. Email address is baldheadcosmetologist@gmail.com.
The bald head one, y'all, not Becky with the good hair. She the bald head one. She the one with the smooth head. You wearing it though. You look good. You wearing it, and I like all of the face. You didn't did that for us. So we appreciate you, and we gonna check on up out of here tonight. Y'all be safe out there. If you need support, you want to come on, you want to talk, you want to do your real story with real people, hit us up either here, there, somewhere. Um, what's my name? I am Queen Unique, your host Queen Unique. No, I'm messing with y'all. I'm your host Queen Unique. And you can go and learn more about our mission with Unique Blessings at www.uniqueblessings.org. To get involved, send us an email at info@uniqueblessings.org. Shoot us a Facebook here, share, tag, subscribe, tell a friend, tell a friend, bring everybody in, and let's continue to heal and build one village at a time. I'm a Lord. I'm a poet, and y'all don't know it. Maybe, possibly. So, all right. Good night. Good night. We out of here.
Good
We out of here.
night.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much, Queen, for coming on.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
You're
Thank you, Miss
welcome.
Blessing.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
You too, love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.